Hey, welcome to the VET S.O.S podcast representing and presenting Operation Startup. Hey, remember, our motto here is don't drown, it's here transition. Grab the VET S.O.S Lifeline. Hey, so on today's show, are sitting down with Mr. Dave Howe. He's a retired Army colonel who served in the 82nd Airborne and 12th Special Forces Group. After serving, Dave has amassed 30 years of professional services consulting at firms like Deloitte. Currently, he is leveraging both his military and consulting skills to aid Comfort, Peace, and Freedom Foundation, which is dedicated to bringing Ken Rusk's life planning program to families of our fallen heroes free of charge. The foundation receives partial funding through profits from Ken Rusk Literary, where he also works. He brings businesses consulting workshops based on Ken's experience. How you doing today, Dave?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for this opportunity to talk about really two transitions. One from my leaving the active duty force and then making the jump from working at places like Deloitte, where I had, great time, great people, to opening up KHS Solutions. So we can talk about both those jumps.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that first jump you made. Probably the biggest jump, I would say. Um, Amazing career. You've done some amazing things in the military, but when you make that decision of it's time for you to transition out, whether it be a forced decision or whether you are ready to just go home and spend more time with family. Talk to us about that transition from military life and civilian life. Give us those three big golden nuggets and three moving boulders that help you shape who you are today and help you transition to a civilian life.
Yeah, I was in a great position to transition. I was coming out of the military right after Desert Storm and that huge drawdown that saw almost one out of every three soldiers finding themselves out of uniform, whether they wanted to be or not. I was blessed that I had just gotten my master's in healthcare. Um, I found a job with a guy who also went through the same master's program. So he was basically a guaranteed mentor for me. So in a way, and I didn't have a family at that time, wasn't married, no kids. So my jump from being in uniform every day to wearing a suit every day was dramatically enhanced over many of our brothers and sisters that don't have those kinds of advantages going into the civilian sector. The one nugget that I think will help people that are doing that, and it ties into the kind of work that I'm doing for both the foundation as well as for Ken Rusk Literary, is you got to have a plan. And I know there's all these great programs out there teaching you how to everything from how to shake hands in an interview to how to find housing. If you want to go to college, I mean, there are lots and there's almost too many opportunities
Mhm.
for getting assistance in making that transition. The challenge that I see and the nugget that I hope your audience will take away from this conversation is they're all very tactical type solutions. How to write a resume, how to get into the university of your choice, how to move a family out of the military community into the civilian community. All of those are great things that need to be accomplished, but they all lack a strategic framework. Where is the vision of where do you see yourself basically in 25 years? And then you need a backward plan from that rather than just getting very myopic focused on, where's your paycheck coming from or, where are you moving to? Those kinds of things, which again, you have to deal with. But if,
Mhm.
if you don't know where you're going, it's really hard to end up where you want to be.
Yes.
And so the life planning really is a critical thing that sets up a person for greater success because it looks at your life holistically. So you look at relationships, you look at your health. The military is great about keeping people fit. Well, if you keep that going in the civilian world, your journey's probably going to be a lot better than if you become an instant couch potato because you don't have to go to PT every day.
Yeah.
Um, and so those are the kinds of lessons learned that I took away from my experience. That again was by comparison to many, it was no big deal. I just had had a little more challenging thing to do in the morning, which was to figure out what I was going to wear that day, rather than my my uniform was already selected for the day while I was still on active duty. So that
Gotcha.
pretty well sums up my experience and my lesson learned is. If you don't have a plan, then you're planning to fail.
Absolutely. So now you get out, a buddy of yours, friend of yours has you guys in the master's program, helps you get a job, and I'm pretty sure at this point you're nice, you're comfortable, you're in a safe position. Why not just stay in that safe position, of having a corporate job, wearing a suit, getting a paycheck every 2 weeks to actually wanna decide to jump into entrepreneurship where there is uncertainty, where there is no paycheck every 2 weeks. You basically have to find your business on your own. Why not stay in that safe space than you actually jumping into entrepreneurship?
Actually, some professional services firms, they actually age people out in the early 60s. So that, and while that may sound like it's late years away for many of your listeners,
Mhm,
um, it will sneak up on you, and eventually it will happen to you too. Um, and it's a lesson that I learned from my dad. My
mm.
dad actually worked literally right up to the last day he was on this earth.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
Now, he wasn't working 70-hour work weeks,
Yeah.
but he had sort of a side hustle going where, he had a partner that he would meet with, 2, 3, 4 times a month. He had sort of a very small book of business that he was managing and doing work for, and I thought that was just a brilliant way to keep that part of your life active rather than sort of packing that up into boxes that you're never gonna touch again, and that part of your life, becomes problematic, and for a lot of people, when they no longer have that job, they lose a huge chunk of their identity, and then they start doing all kinds of bad things to fill the void that they now experience. But again, because they didn't have a plan on how they were going to best use that time, that's a problem. So, to answer your question directly, I saw that I wanted to go down that same kind of path that my dad did, and that path becoming my own running my own professional services firm very
Mhm.
quickly led to what is now my one and only client working with the foundation as well as uh, Ken Rusk Industries. So I've fallen into a perfect place, a brilliant, wonderful capstone to my professional career. It combines service as well as I still have a couple kids in college, and I want to really fully enjoy my retirement years when I'm not doing things for the foundation, and that all requires an income stream that's a little bigger than what I have right now, based on aspirations and that part of my life plan as to how I want to spend my quote golden years.
Got you. So now, and just correct me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming with your one client, what is the one thing or what are some of the things that lights you up working with this client and what keeps you going every day in this entrepreneur role?
Well, uh, people will find that throughout your life, things suddenly knock on your door. Not
Mm,
all opportunities, are gonna just land in your lap, but sometimes they actually do come looking for you. And my wife actually happened to be watching, a cable show, and the guy that was on being interviewed was talking about this whole life planning program. Well, I had actually started and came to I had my epiphany that I needed one of these when I was working at Deloitte. I was at a
mhm,
client meeting. My partner was doing the talking, and I had a moment where I'm thinking, you know, I need to be doing for my own self, my own life, what I'm here presenting to my clients in the way of strategic planning and, how to really make sure that, you're getting every dime you can out of the investment corporate wise and in my case as an individual, out of your own personal life. So I
mhm.
immediately put myself through my own strategic planning process, and then fast forward almost a quarter of a century, I hear Ken talking about the exact same concept, and I'm like, this may be a match made in heaven. So I reached out to him,
Uh-huh,
asked him if he would like some assistance with the military population, because clearly the transition, despite all the good things, the TAP program and all the other things that are there to try and help people make that transition, I do think that that strategic piece is what's missing and causes a lot of people leaving the service to have a much bumpier road than, fortunately, the one that I ended up going down.
got you. So now we know as entrepreneurs, I'm an entrepreneur myself. Getting started is not always the easiest thing to do. Um, Talk to us about that time, or if it is still a time, those hard moments or those most frustrating parts of your journey. How do you deal with it and how do you overcome it?
Fortunately, I don't have too many horror stories about or, where I was sweating blood on how I was gonna make the mortgage payment that month.
Okay.
Um, but the one I'll share with you that shows again how things can work for you or life can suddenly deal you a hand that there is no way you're gonna win.
Mhm.
Um, One of the projects that I was working on, happened to be with a buddy of mine that I knew from high school, and we decided that we were going to leverage our passion for military history with our passion for going to cool places and travel and all of that. So we actually had created, and I had written all the scripts out, done all the recons to have a travel business that we would take people to visit places like Normandy, D-Day Beach kind of history.
Mhm.
And literally, the day that we started our advertising, campaign was the day the world shut down because of COVID.
Wow.
So, needless to say, we were not going anywhere near the beaches of Normandy, for an extended period of time,
Yep.
and, that was it wasn't our only thing that we were doing. Fortunately, we still had other things that were going, so we weren't literally, left in the lurch or wondering again how we were gonna pay our bills, but, um, that definitely, caused us to have to fold up shop on that dream pretty doggone fast.
Got you. Now, so I mean, '06, retired. Um, Kind of tell us, you're a high ranking officer. Um, did you tap into any type of programs, veteran communities to help you launch a business, and that you recommend to our listeners?
Actually, my transition from being, an employee in a professional service firm to opening my own, was pretty seamless,
Mm,
and there may very well be all kinds of connections that are out there that would have been a resource to me. Um, I didn't really feel that I needed it. I sort of knew I was going to do this well in advance, which again is another golden nugget is, don't wait until the last minute and then decide you're not going to sign your re-up papers or, you're going to throw your retirement in with a 30-day leave and somehow all that's going to work out to your advantage.
mhm.
So I had sufficient time to be more prepared for it. But it does show that um, prior planning is absolutely the critical essence of being a successful entrepreneur, so that you can take advantage of things that are out there. Um, you know, uh, Doing things with the Chamber of Commerce, I found was good for a small group like what I had. So there are resources. You just have to, and thank God for the internet. I mean, you know, I'm not a great search person, but in 15 minutes, I can do all kinds of amazing things.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
and 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 that's literally all that it takes sometimes to find that one key resource that you need to make your transition a whole lot easier than it would be if you try and solve all of the problems by yourself.
Got you. Absolutely. So now, kind of tell us about your business, what it is you do, who do you serve, and what makes you maybe a little bit different than other businesses out there, like yourself.
Well, I'll sort of talk about the time that I was before. I'll talk sort of a tale of two stories. One
Okay.
pre Ken Rusk and the foundation and so on, and what I'm doing now. The pre time again, I had a couple of anchor clients that I knew I would be working with once I left the firm that I was at, and so that made it very easy. You roll from one set of meetings to another set of meetings. One set of clients becomes another set of clients. And so it was a very seamless kind of transition. It was sort of weird that I wasn't taking people to meetings. A lot of it was, Zoom based. Um, which in a way was very helpful because it saved an awful lot of upfront costs, which is one of the things that kills entrepreneurs early on is they just don't have a big enough bankroll to get them far enough into their business plan for success to start rolling in and starting to pay the bills without sleepless nights.
Mhm.
Um, so, and in those days, I had companies that I was working with that if you told me even 12 months before you'd be working with a green energy company, I would have looked at you like you had just walked off a spaceship. I'd be like, I don't know anything about that industry. That is not where I think my passion is going to find me. But the next thing you know is you get into that space and you go where the clients take you. And because of the skill set that you bring and what they want you to do, it is natural. It's not like you have to be a subject matter expert
Mhm.
on that industry to be successful when you're bringing things like business development skills, strategic operational planning, things of that nature. So that's sort of the pre Ken period of my entrepreneurship. And then now that I've been working with Ken, um, it's a schizophrenic approach. It's like, okay, do I need to focus more on the foundation and bringing people in and doing the work of the foundation? Or today, do I need to work on the for-profit things that we're doing so that we can use those proceeds that come in to partially fund the work of the foundation? Because fortunately, Ken created the foundation as a way of giving back for the tremendous success that he has enjoyed as an entrepreneur. Um, and so he's not looking for money on the for-profit side to get a bigger boat or to have a more fancy vacation or fly private more or any of the other cool things that he gets to
Yeah.
do. Um, he's got his day hustle is more than capable of buying any of the toys that he needs. The foundation work that I'm doing and the work that I do on the for-profit side, all of that is able to uh, bring us the funds that we need to serve the veteran population on the mission that we've set forth for the foundation. So as I look at that, the for-profit side really consists of a couple of main offerings. One is Ken has written a best-selling book, Blue Collar Cash. Um, he is right now, literally as I speak, editing the final draft to then go through the publication process for his second book, which has the working title of Rock Stars and Rainmakers. And basically, it's a series of chapters that talk about the various things that he attributes his success to. So the question you sort of posed to me, how did
Mhm.
my success, get jump started? He's actually is the content for his second book talking about that. So we are in the book business, and then
Mhm.
because the book business absolutely lends itself very well to workshops where we share those concepts with companies ranging it from mom and pop size all the way up to, I don't know if we've officially done a Fortune 500 company yet, but we run the full gamut. I mean, the
Yeah.
workshops work whether you're again a very small P&L or you're looking at a multi-billion dollar enterprise. And the kinds of things that we do workshop wise are again chapters out of the book. One of which is, in fact, it's the most popular one that we offer so far. It seems is the taking of the life planning process. A company
Mhm.
buys that, puts their employees through that, so they create the life plans for their employees. And then that is step one of the corporate planning process, where they will then match up the the business goals, that part of the employee's personal plan, what they want to do with their career, and they match those with the people that are working for the corporation to make sure that those goals are aligned and that everybody knows what everybody's expectations are. And if you need to do some negotiation, like, yeah, we don't see that you're the next in line for that promotion, or this is, we want you to go into this area. That's the time to negotiate all that stuff out. And that way you can keep a really good employee rather than at some point they didn't get the promotion or they don't seem to be gaining traction in their current business unit and they feel that they have only one choice and that's to leave. And you don't want talent going out the back door when you put a lot of investment in getting them there and above all training them there. So it's those kind of workshops are the things that we do that are on the for-profit side. And then the foundation work is we have things to include offering the life planning to the family of our fallen heroes. Right now, I'm in communication, just left some messages for the soldiers that their unit uh, lost in Kuwait. And
Hmm.
then we're talking with, for example, the Ohio National Guard that lost 3 airmen in that KC-135 tanker crash from a few weeks ago. So
Yeah.
it's not an automatic. It's totally up to the families as to whether they think this would help them. But this is one way to help channel that grief that they have into how to restore hope and a joyful path forward rather than getting stuck in reliving the worst day of their life over and over again.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Totally understand. So kind of really quick, I know Ken has done a lot of things, and for those of us who don't know him, who is Ken Rusk?
Ken Rusk is a really interesting guy. He is the kind of guy you would love to have as your next door neighbor. Generous to a fault, a great sense of humor, incredibly giving, wonderful personality, great family. Um, and he got his start where he thought, in high school he was going to go the college route, didn't really know what he was going to do there. But his summertime job turned into a full-time job when the guy that ran a dry proofing company, waterproofing basements, said, I want to franchise these across the country. Would you be willing to be my advance man to go, to various places where I think we could open a franchise? And he did that for a number of years. And then finally he got tired of living out of a suitcase, so he took a franchise in the greater Toledo area, and he's turned that into a number of other construction related businesses. So his book Blue Collar Cash, the title very accurately describes half the
Hmm.
book, which talks about that journey and how nothing wrong with going to college, but here if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant, but if you really don't know what you want to do, college may be the worst place for you to try and start. You
Yeah.
can get into the trades with almost minimal cost, minimal
Hmm.
time, start making, high five figures, even crossing into six figures. And if you compare that versus going to college for 4 years, running up $250,000 in student debt, losing 4 years of making almost, 75, 100K a year, you're looking at more than a $500,000 deficit in your net worth by making what may not have been a really good job, and where you may
Yeah.
find yourself getting the same job you would have gotten if you'd gotten that same job coming right out of high school.
Yep.
And then the other
Absolutely.
half of the book is the life planning process where he takes you step by step through. So many people can very easily go through the book and create their own written plan for how they want to optimize their journey through life.
Gotcha. So now, Dave, tell us where should someone go to learn more about you, connect with you, um, and see about some of your services.
Yeah, the best thing to get immediate answers on specific questions is to just contact me at dhow@kenruss.com. And then for more general information, the foundation can be found at veteransuccess.org or kenrusk.com. Both of those
Gotcha.
will tee up a lot of the things that we've talked about and give you a lot more background information on Ken, his journey through life, and the things that he has to offer as the way of lessons learned. Because he truly has cracked the code on how to be a successful entrepreneur. Um,
Gotcha. So give us those websites one more time for those
sure.
who aren't listening back.
Best way to contact me is D Howe. That's D as in David, Howe at Ken Rusk with a K, Rusk.com. And then kenrusk.com takes you to all things Ken Rusk industry related to include the program that we've talked about today. And then for the veterans, check out veteransuccess.org.
Absolutely. So Dave, as we wrap this up in today's podcast, give us one golden nugget if you were talking to yourself prior to getting out, what would you tell yourself at this point or this stage in your life as far as about being an entrepreneur?
Well, I'll give you two because we've already hammered the most important one, which is you got to have that plan, and it has to be holistic. You need to be looking at all the facets of your life, because if you have problems, which most people's lives have a major problem at some point, whether it's health, kids, marriages, job. at some point, one of the pillars of your life is going to collapse on you. And if you don't have very strong supporting pillars and all the other facets, then your life goes with it. So that's lesson and point number one. The second one that I would say is um, sort of piggybacking off of that is anticipate there are going to be bumps in the road, but there will be another day. And so by focusing on your relationships, really remember at the end of your time on this earth, it's not who has the most toys, who has the biggest bank account. It's pretty much who are you surrounded by, and what did you achieve the things you wanted to in life, or do you have a whole lot of regrets? And that's where, again, by having a plan where you backward plan the things that you really want to accomplish in life, when that last moment comes, you're sitting there in peace and just really enjoying the knowledge that it was a life well led rather than being filled with a lot of recriminations. So uh,
Gotcha.
joy is central to what we try and accomplish through the foundation, and everybody can have it, but it is not an easy thing, and it's not something that's necessarily up for sale. The most joyful things
Absolutely.
oftentimes don't come with a very big price tag, but they do have a price that you've got to make in other parts of your life.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, we're going to wrap it up here. Want to thank you for joining us on the VET S.O.S podcast. On behalf of the VET S.O.S family, I'd like to thank everyone for listening in today. You can find the VET S.O.S podcast on all your favorite platforms, YouTubes, and all social media platforms as well. And when you go on there and find us, make sure you subscribe and follow VET S.O.S so you don't miss anything like this amazing interview we did with Mr. Dave Howe today. And remember, our motto here is, remember, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the VET S.O.S Lifeline.